Hi guys, I want to show you the screencast that further goes into the slideshow that I'm going to have available for you that you can click on the different links to see any further, content or pictures or videos or whatever. But the screencast I also want to use, following the slideshow and looking at my Google Classroom page for my course. Unfortunately, my classroom page is through my global email address, so my school's email address, so I can't invite you because you're not in the same domain. So hopefully this video can get you to see what it looks like, but feel free to just go on this slideshow and click on the different links if you want to open anything up. So when I was creating this, I was a little worried I wouldn't be able to get all of Bonk and Koo's elements, but I was pleasantly surprised that what I created fit most of the elements, and I had to, add a couple additional things to really make it a well-made online course module. So a little bit about my module is I followed my Unit 10, which, just went right in line with my curriculum, which is polynomials for Algebra 2 Regents. And you can feel free to click on this link and you can go through my lesson plans. And then I have a set of about seven goals or learning outcomes that I want my students to have after they went through this unit. It was taking about 11 days to get through. So the first element, which I think is actually the most important, is setting the tone and climate in the online classroom. So for pretty much all of my students, this is the first time they're experiencing a complete online learning classroom. They're used to the blended learning environment and my flipped classroom, which I had, but they're not used to just doing completely online. So I really wanted to set a nice tone and a comfortable climate by these 4 different ways. So if I go to my classroom page, I posted a personal video of me explaining kind of what's going on, what's expected, what we know at this point. If you look back, this is March 16th, so we were only first introduced to this whole idea about closures. And I also created a more formal letter that I was hoping parents and students could also see. So you can see that in the slideshow. You can open those up. I also wanted to give them a tutorial on how to use Google Hangouts as a way to communicate with me and their other teachers. So I actually made a screencast using my iPhone. This was the first time I made one of those. And I showed them how they can download the app and how easy it is to start conversations and chats and video chats with their parents, especially since they're used to that on their iPhones. They're used to texting, they're used to FaceTiming, so I think it would be an easy transition for them as opposed to sending emails, although I got plenty of emails still. Even with that, let me close that up, go back to my slideshow. And Dr. Kotlik also gave me the idea of sharing my online learning philosophy from this class. Unfortunately, we made this after I originally introduced my online classroom to my students. So for future reference, I definitely want to showcase that because I'm proud of, the environment that I'm trying to create. Then we go on to encouragement, which I created through feedback and synchronous sessions. I really wanted to make sure my students were receiving the same type of feedback, the same type of conversation all throughout online learning as they would in a face-to-face classroom. So I did hold office hours from 11 to 1 every day, and I did get a lot of messages at that time, but I had my phone on me, so I was able to respond, outside of those hours. I created pre-planned synchronous Zoom sessions for reviewing content, so students knew ahead of time that I would hold these sessions and they could join in or log off at any time. And then Classroom also allowed me to do a lot of cool features with giving feedback. So for my graded assignment, which was towards the end of the unit, let's look at my students. Classroom was cool in that you can, go to hers. Let's go here. You can respond to private comments, and most of my students did submit their assignment the same way, where they took a picture and they just posted it as an attachment, and I was able to give them feedback right there as well as a grade. The only downside to this is math text did not come out nicely in the comments feature. So with that in mind, I can actually look at, use Cami to provide that annotation. So if you click, I have the Cami extension and I was able to open up Cami and add highlights and annotations. I actually show you this in my slideshow right here that I did that. And I also did screencast video feedback, so I'm using the same app, the Screencast-O-Matic, and for some students I was able to make a quick video telling them what I liked, what I didn't like, and feel free to watch that, or what needs to be worked on. Then we go on to the curiosity element, and sometimes a little challenging for me, and especially the suggestions and the activities that Bonk and Koo suggested didn't really fit into Algebra 2 curriculum. So I kind of went off of my own thing and did a Desmos activity, and I love Desmos because of how interactive and collaborative things are. Students are really learning, they're really exploring content, not just being told content. And I did collaboration with it. I gave certain times that they should log on, and they had these conversations where they do a polygraph. It's like a matching game where you try to get the other person to guess what graph they chose. And you know, they're using some vocabulary. Okay, maybe this one talking about is the graph on the right isn't the best, but some of them do. Is it making contact with the point 0, 0? They're talking origin. Desmos also has this really cool feature of anonymizing. So what I did is I did the anonymize feature because I didn't want students knowing exactly who they were talking to. But now I can go back and see exactly who put stuff in. For variety, I really use my gamification elements through quizzes. I absolutely love quizzes. I'd rather make a quizzes than a Kahoot any day. Quizzes is so nice because there's so much pre-made content, and you can take questions from old quizzes and bring them over, and it's all free, and the reports for quizzes is amazing. Students get those gamification elements, they get the little avatar, there's still a scoreboard, you know, they get power-ups throughout the game where they get to get extra points or eliminate 2 choices or all these different cool features that quizzes recently updated. And my reports are amazing. I can look at every individual question, see how many students got it right, what choices are they like picking. Like in this one, a lot picked number 2A, or letter A, sorry, and A wasn't it. So I can kind of figure that out. There's a nice overview thing, so I can just look at this graph to see, oh, geez, a lot of kids got this, you know, this question wrong right here. So that's question 2, let me check it. And you can also incorporate standards. So I love quizzes, recommend it any day over Kahoot. And then I show those pictures. Then we have autonomy, which is choice, which is sometimes a little challenging to do. So I use this idea of shotgun questioning. So I gave my students, and you can open it up here, just 10 examples of identities. And I told them, just pick 2, show me the work, and that's all you have to do. Because kids are always asking, like, how many questions do I have to do? Do we have to do all of them? Can we just do the evens? So I'm giving them that choice. And it actually requires, I think, a little more work because they're trying to look at which ones look the easiest. So they're actually studying all the questions, which I think is amazing. And I'm just impressed also by the variety of work I got from students. I mean, a lot of students did it by hand, but I had the student Marissa who showed it to me in like an interactive whiteboard, and that's like amazing. So I'm so glad to see them using different technology, and I'm kind of getting the idea she got that from my Doceri app that I use so much. Okay, relevance. Another topic I was worried about because it's so hard to find relevance in Algebra 2. I do have a lot of units that do talk about relevance, and just in general, like banking and chemistry and statistics are relatable. This unit unfortunately wasn't, but Bonk and Koo suggest these instructor online video demonstrations. Although I'm not demonstrating something in person, I am modeling something and I'm giving them examples, and I do that through my Doceri and Edpuzzle made videos. So if I go to Edpuzzle, I created this video, ignore me talking right here. I have the checkpoint questions, and I'm just showing them how to do the different problems. So I guess that's my version of an online instructor-made video. And they receive that on Classroom for all their assignments. So the best thing about Edpuzzle is it automatically syncs up to Classroom, so I'm able to post it ahead of time. And it's also set up where I can easily edit it and add my quizzes activity to it. So it all falls in one assignment, so they're not receiving so many assignments at once, which can be overwhelming. Okay, interactivity. So Google Apps for Education is a great way to bring in collaboration. So I had them working on this activity that practiced long division. I gave them certain times that they should work on it with their given partner. I gave them all a partner. And that way, you know, you talk to your partner, okay, we're going to work on it from 11 to 12. Just because I didn't want one student doing all the work, I really wanted them working on it together. Unfortunately, this wasn't as successful as I hoped it would be. Not many students turned it in. I'm not sure if it was the difficulty of the assignment or it was the collaboration part or whatever it was. I think it would be more successful in a face-to-face classroom where I could actually monitor and they're sitting right next to their partner working on it. Engagement. So one of the best ways to engage students is just giving them so much multimedia. You know, a student does not want to read a whole paragraph of text. I don't want to read a whole paragraph of text. So I provided them with this Unit 10 interactive glossary. And I took vocabulary and concepts that we learned throughout. And I have pictures, I have videos, I have screenshots, all this stuff. So they can really be interactive if they just use this. You know, there's a question about the sum of difference of cubes. I'm hoping they would go right to this glossary, read this definition, look at what's given, look at the example problems, and be able to go for it, as opposed to maybe going back in their notes and looking through that. Okay, tension. This is the one element I couldn't fit specifically into this online learning module, but something, because especially because I actually didn't know, we didn't learn this element till later in the course, so I already had a lot of my stuff already made. But I figured I would use tension in providing students online study group challenges. So ahead of time, I would give my students a study group, and I would give them each a problem to work through and a time to work on it. I would group students by level so I can differentiate, but I'd also group students at various levels so that they could do some sort of peer tutoring. I would mix up those groups too, and maybe challenge them to present it in a way that they're kind of teaching the other students. Okay, yielding products. Got 2 minutes before this recording goes out. So for my final project for just the whole Algebra 2 course, I'm giving students the chance to create a how to survive Algebra 2 guide, and feel free to look at this a little more. Basically, they're being able to put their creativity to the test and create a book or a video or a slideshow or a presentation of any sort where they're teaching students how to survive Algebra 2. They're going to give tips, they're going to summarize how it went, then they're going to look at the unit specifically, look at vocab, look at examples, look at regions, make it pretty, and then I have them reflecting on everything through a Flipgrid reflection video. So feel free to look at that more. I also attached here a screencast walking the students through that. All right, 1 minute to look at my last 2 slides. So additional elements of online learning. I provided students both asynchronous and synchronous sessions, mainly because I know students, especially my students, have a whole bunch of different things going on. So I didn't want them have to meet a specific time every day. So I gave them a lot of choices to do work at any time they wanted. I made assignments start at 8 a.m., do 8 a.m. the next day, so they could do it right in the morning, they could do it at night, they could do it in the afternoon. But I also held those synchronous sessions, like those Zoom meetings, so that questions can be answered in real time. I have a future project that does relate the pandemic to Algebra 2 curriculum, so feel free to check that out. It also follows these RIASEC standards, which are kind of a new thing going on. And then a lot of this was just based off of Bonk and Koo. Thanks so much for watching. Feel free to leave me any comments or additional feedback.